Hey everyone, it's Miss Frankie. I'm going to talk today about lesson 4.7, which is dividing using repeated subtraction. And the lesson itself is pretty much what the lesson title is, dividing using repeated subtraction. I'm going to take my divisor here, 4, and I'm going to subtract it repeatedly from my dividend. So I'm going to take 30 minus 4, which is 26. What I'm going to do is keep going until the answer I get here, or let me highlight that for you. The answer I get there is less than my divisor. Now, for what we're going to be doing today, there might be ones where we end up with 0, and there might be some where we end up with a remainder. One thing the kids have to be aware of is we need to keep track of how many times we're subtracting 4. So I've put a little 1 there next to the 4, saying that I've subtracted it 1 time. So I'm going to keep going. So minus 4, which is 22. I'm going to put a 2 out here. I'm going to keep going, and I'll let you get caught back up with me in just a second until I get down to where I have either a remainder left or I'm with 0. Okay, I've jumped ahead just a little and shown the rest of the math problem, even though I ran out of room at the bottom of my board. I moved the rest of it up here. So I've kept track of how many times I've subtracted 4. Again, we're doing repeated subtraction, so we're just subtracting the divisor as many times as I can until I end up with a number that's less than my divisor is. Now, in this case, I end up with 2. Well, 2 is less than 4. So my answer is going to have a remainder. I'm going to go back and make sure that I've used 4 7 times like I've listed. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. So 7 is part of my quotient. And then I have to use this little guy down here as my remainder. So a remainder of 2. So 30 divided by 4 is 7, remainder 2. Let's try another one and see how simple this repeated subtraction can be. So we're going to do the problem of, let's do 24. Let me move that down a little bit. 24 divided by 5. I'm going to start the same way. I'm going to take my divisor and I'm going to repeatedly subtract it. So I'm going to skip ahead to where I've subtracted all of this. Okay, I have subtracted 5 from 24 until I ended up with a number at the bottom that is less than my divisor of 5. You'll notice that 4 is less than 5. I'm going to go back and check to make sure that I have counted correctly. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have subtracted 5 4 different times. So that's part of my quotient. So it's 4 with a remainder of 4 left over. Like I said, I may end up with a math problem that doesn't have a remainder, and I may end up with some, like this problem, that has a remainder, remainder 4. One of the ways that we did show the kids today to try is to make it a little bit harder on themselves, or if you want to think of it as easier. So I had them work on a math problem of, let's do 72 divided by 6. Now I could go through and subtract 6 from this number a lot. It's going to take me a very long time to do that. Or I can use my multiples of 6 and come up with maybe a better way to do this. So if I list out some of my multiples here, I could think, maybe I could use a better way or an easier way to do it. Well, if I add a 0 to my 6, and I know that 6 times 10 is 60, I could subtract that real easily. When I subtract, I get 12. Well, you'll notice that I wrote the 10 out here to the side. I have to keep track of how many times I've subtracted. Well, I didn't actually subtract 6. 10 times, but in a way I did. 10 times 6 is 60. So I want to make sure I remember that. So I wrote it out here to the side. They can also write, if they want to, which might keep them responsible for it, 10 times 6. So they remember that I multiplied it by 10, and that's the number we want to add. Now, this number here is still not less than 6, so I'm going to keep going. Well, 12 is a multiple of 6, so I know that I can go on and subtract 12. Again, I'm going to write 2 times 6 this time, so I remember to add that number. Now that I end up with 0 at the end, I'm going to take these two numbers that I subtracted with and add them together. So 10 plus 2 is 12. Like I said, this is more of a challenging way to do it for some kids. If they want to stick to doing repeated subtraction each time with just the 6, go for it. Let them work out the bumps and the kinks as they get going. This is more for if someone knows automatically, hey, I can divide or I can subtract a higher number, like 60 in this case. Either way works. Just make sure that they're responsible for how many times that number went in there with this 10 and the 2. Or keeping track with the minus 6 each time, writing down how many times they subtracted it. All right, I hope that explained what the lesson was about today. If you have any questions, let me know. Thanks.